We'll call the Platteville Public Schools School Board meeting for August 28th to order. Has the meeting been properly noticed?
Yes, it has.
Does anybody have any recognitions they'd like to share with us? I'll go up front. Thanks.
Good evening. I just wanted to welcome everyone to our first meeting in this beautiful new space here at the middle school. My name is Kim Zielinski. I'm the middle school principal here, and just so excited to spend some time this week and last week enjoying and utilizing this beautiful new space. We hosted Good Morning Platteville here last week. We also hosted our new staff launch week, where we invited our mentees, our new staff members, and then our mentors, some of our veteran staff who are mentoring our new teachers, and had some training and some community building in this space. And then this week, we also had, middle school staff, as well as some other trainings for the whole district staff within this space too. So we're really stretching our legs and utilizing this space quite a bit this week, and then really taking some time to imagine what this space will look like with students in it. So our middle school staff spent some time building ideas around spaces and ideas that we can use in this space for our students for collaboration, team building, and instruction. So just really excited to have you here tonight to be here in this space.
Thank you. Anybody from the board have anything?
I think we should just recognize all of our teachers, administrators, and staff as they come back to make for a great school year for our students.
Thank you, Betsy. Anyone else? I've got one thing to share to kind of go along with what Kim said. It's been exciting to watch this space get utilized, and we all knew there was a need for this space. And I really want to thank our taxpayers for approving us to do the referendum and us to have these kind of spaces available to us. And it's going to be fun once the students are here to watch everybody grow into them and to be able to utilize all the new space we have and the new concepts we have to throw at the teaching realm of things and stuff. So I'm appreciative of that. Moving along. Anybody for public input?
No.
No? Thank you. Information and discussion items, Mr. Babel.
Thank you. 4A is a celebration of student learning. Throughout each school year, we take different measurements and we assess those measurements and we study and we analyze them in order to improve our high level of instruction for the next year. The state testing, we were able to look at the data from the state testing beginning about a month or so ago. And as we kicked off our teacher return on Monday, we had a data expert from CESA 6 Oshkosh area come in and work with our staff. And what our staff are able to do is they can look at the big picture, and that's what we're going to look at right now, big picture district-wide. The real value for a staff member is they can see with all of the different tests, and we're able to drill down to each question, how students did, and it is a fascinating exploration for our staff because then they apply, well, if we did good on this standard and this grade level, we use our collaboration and we share, what did you do? And then we get better at that. If there's a standard or question somewhere in which we see, listen, our students didn't do very well on that. We identify that. It's that plan, do, study, act cycle of inquiry. And so let's get into some data if we can. This slide is just a statement. What we're able to do is show district building level data, not the individual data. Once we get to the November and they release that, then there's a little bit more leniency. But right now, because of an embargo on that data, all we can show is this big picture stuff. One of the changes from last year to this year, the DPI, so the state testing, the state controls that test, the DPI helps implement it. And one of the things when they evaluated it was our terminology of student learning wasn't really growth focused. And so they've changed, they still have the categories, but you can see from basic, it's now approaching. So there's some vocabulary differences as we go through. This is a key chart that really captures a lot of what we're very proud of at the district level. And to give a little history here, when we were as a district in the years, we went back and looked at data from 2013, and this is prior to a lot of the administration that's in place now. They looked at the data and they realized that we weren't as strong in some areas that we wanted to be. And in about 2017-18, our district determined we want to become a professional learning community. And at that time, when we started that install, we did the research, what the solution tree, which is the think tank that helps with the professional learning communities, they said you have to commit completely to this process and wait 5 to 7 years for it to really gain traction. So that was about 2018 when we started bringing in speakers. We started transforming how our teachers collaborated, how they focused on learning and results. And then came Safer at Home. Nobody predicted Safer at Home with COVID. Even with that, you can see how our scores were declining, but now that we are starting to gain traction, my eyes draw to these lower right-hand corners, and these are the percentages. If we go back up here, so advanced and meeting, those are positives. Approaching and developing, those are students we need to have higher levels of instruction and different levels of support with so they can get to that level. So over these past 3 years, including this year, we are on an upward trend, and that's why this is a celebration of learning. Our students did a magnificent job for us last year, and we're very proud of them for the work that they put in. Other things you can see at the top, there's the score. We own that score. But as a district, as a teacher, that score and then the label with the score does not help me with my instruction. What does help with the instruction is being able to look at that data and go through that process like we started on Monday and Tuesday of this week. Our enrollment over the past several years is steady. This percentage of economically disadvantaged families that we serve is increasing in our community. And that is one of the reasons, and I see we have our You Belong statement up in there, and at the bottom of our page here, we have our mission statement. It's not on the bottom, but anyway, our mission statement in that we ensure high levels of learning for all of our students in a safe, inclusive environment, every student, every day. That is a change in something that our staff has done over the past 5 or 6 years. They have built a system and a mindset that will help all students learn. And we should be very excited about the potential in our future. This next slide is just another way to represent our trends. The state is red and green, we are blue and yellow, and we can see, much like just another way to represent how we're growing and how our students are having success, we see that just represented in a different way with English language arts, and then math. Another way to represent this, if I can, we're looking at this page here, and you see there's color codes. There's below basic, basic, proficient, advanced. Those are the same terminology that the state testing system used when they look at the test results. And if we go back down here, we can see how in 2024, It's same words, but we kept the colors. This is a tool to help us identify trends in our learning. If a student, and this is district-wide, so this is grades 3 through 11, if a student on that test performed at the developing stage in this formula, no points awarded. If they're in the yellow, the approaching, 0.5, green, 1.0, blue, 1.5. And you assign as you do the math across, and it's another way to represent our trend of how we are having success in our schools. Another way that was pointed out when we had a discussion earlier, for example, in 2022, district-wide, grades 3 through 11, 204 students were categorized at that below basic level. Last year, we cut that in half. These are reasons to be proud and celebrate about what our kids are doing. Very similar representation for the math. 0.72 was the points-based proficiency, 0.75, and last spring when we introduced this at the board level and then also to our staff, we had set the goal of, as a district, in 3 more years, we want that number to be 0.85. That was our goal. We hadn't been there. We were trending to it, but that was, I think, a good goal to shoot for. But math were there. So we have to reset that goal. English language arts were there. So as I move to the final page, what we have committed to as a district is 1.0. We want our average to be 1.0, and that's what we're working for. We've built a system as a district, as a board, with your knowledge, your expertise, your support as a community, parents, staff, students. We've built a system in which we make a promise to our kids. You will start Tuesday, September 3rd. By the end of this school year, you are going to grow at least 1 grade level. That's what we're calling, we use the term, it's a crown. We're going to place a crown on every student, and we promise you that you are going to grow that year and then some. But the promise is you're going to grow a year. And with the work we've done over the past 5 to 7 years, we have everything in place. We have the mindset, and we will continue to excel. So this is a reason for this school district to be very proud of what we've accomplished over the years. Any questions?
I have a question for you, Jim. Talking about the goal of being at 1.0 for your PBP score by the end of the 25-26 school year, how does that translate? What does that mean, and what does that look like for our students in the developing, approaching, meeting, or advanced? What are we talking about there?
Okay, so let's look right here. We'll focus on this 2024. In order to average 1.0, and this is pretty straightforward. In all the students that are 1.0, that would be in the meeting. So they're just going to be at that level. But we're going to have advanced, the blue, that number is going to have to equal yellow plus red in order for the average to then be above 1. And so what we're trying to drive is our students to be meeting and advanced.
So in other words, what you're saying is our goal is to not have any students as developing or approaching.
Yes.
All students meeting or advanced.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Moving on. Are we good? Okay. 4B, we've included a capital improvement update. Another quick slideshow for us to review. And what we did when we had our all-staff meeting on Tuesday, was we took those renderings that we showed 18 months ago and we tried to capture how they look like on Tuesday morning. So here was Neil Wilkins, the renderings. And here's how they looked Tuesday morning. Went with the high school renderings. And then high school Tuesday morning. But wait a second. That auditorium lobby flex space doesn't look completed. The auditorium entrance doesn't look completed. If we were to take a picture at this time of those spaces, there would be a dramatic difference. They're at that stage to where they're putting those finishing touches on. And we meet every week. And Wednesday is that meeting day. And they're in a great shape to have this done Friday. So when our students arrive on Tuesday, it will be looking like those renderings. And in defense, the high school was the most invasive of the remodels that we had. And then we get to the building that we're in now and the space we're in now. There are our renderings, and you can look at the pictures, or you can just look around. And to top it off, we're going to have a tour of our schools, a community open house event, September 22nd from 4 until 6 p.m. A couple of things to wrap around that for context. That is the kickoff of our homecoming week this year. And we felt that would be a great opportunity for our community to come in and walk through these spaces and ask questions and see how they're being used. There is a Packer game at noon. So that's why we picked 4 to 6. So that should be a good celebration to get people walking through our halls as best we can. Any questions with the capital update?
I think it's phenomenal. One question I do have, I'm being cynical here, but I've had this question asked, or I've had this comment said. Why does Neil Wilkins need a gym and a multipurpose room?
When the architects came through and evaluated what we have, or what we had, if you recall, the Neil Wilkins Neil Wilkins kitchen space was a cut up polygon shape and very difficult. Remember, Neil Wilkins was initially a neighborhood elementary. I don't know how many students that were going there, but now we have those 2 grade levels. So there's about 220, 240 students. They're eating lunch there. And to prepare it in that kitchen, it just wasn't feasible. They were making do. And then what was the gymnasium, we didn't have a cafeteria to feed our students in. So the gymnasium, what was the gymnasium, became that multi-purpose space. So it is primarily a cafeteria, and that's how we labeled it. So we now have a cafeteria for that building. And by making that cafeteria, we needed a gymnasium then to replace that for all of the physical education instruction.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
35 to 40% of that room would be the kitchen, because the new kitchen, they can do a lot more. So if you go back even farther than what Jim's talking, we used to truck all the meals from the high school to each school. And now obviously we aren't doing that, so.
And if I'm not mistaken, the students at Neil Wilkins actually ate in their classrooms. They didn't have a cafeteria to eat at. I asked that question because I do want the public to know that. I want them to understand that. Those that don't know it, I needed them to hear that.
I went there when it was a neighborhood school and it was K through 4. And so, I mean, they needed, we had gym there, so we had a gymnasium there for those students to have, so, and we had to eat in the cafeteria.
Moving on to operating referendum and information. So on August 14th, the board passed the question for an operating referendum. On August 15th, that next morning, we prepared this document, and it is fast facts and frequently asked questions. What we were asking our staff was, number one, to become educated about our operating referendum. And then we wanted to empower our staff with reliable information. So if they were asked questions, they could respond accordingly and give them the equipment needed to answer those questions. As I thought about it, we did that with our staff. What better place now than let's do it at the regular board meeting so we all have access to this. And that's really the genesis of bringing this to the forefront. So then people who are interested in accurate information, they can use this. If there's an opinion out there, much like the questions you had, why did they do that? Now our staff in our community with this available can look at this, maybe have a better understanding. If not, they know they can contact somebody in the community as far as on the staff. So it's a tool that we're hoping allows more people to become informed.
Moving on to consent agenda.
Inside of our consent agenda, we have the minutes of our previous meetings, August 14th. We have the resignation of a paraprofessional, Ryan Pink. We have the resignation of assistant boys soccer, Eli Kaywood. Letter E, we do not have a candidate. We had a candidate accepted and then found full-time employment, so then declined this part-time position. So when we adopt the consent agenda, it will be necessary for somebody to say and eliminate letter E for consent. Letter F would be the new hire of special education assistant, Erica Wagner. New hire for part-time food service, Exie Fleming. We have the long-term guest principal. We have an FMLA situation in our district, and we have a staff member who's willing to accept that responsibility. And then finally, we have the Title IX policy updates that has been forwarded through policy and community outreach.
Move we approve the consent agenda with the exception of lead item E.
Second.
Got a motion by Steve, a second by Ben to approve.
The consent agenda,
Consent
leading
agenda.
item E.
Eliminating item E. Thank you, Steve. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Adoption of the agenda.
We do not have any action items, but yet to stay with our common practice and protocol. So we'll just be adopting this agenda.
Got a motion by Ben,
Second.
second by Keisha. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposition?
Sorry.
Any abstentions?
So moved.
I have a motion by Ben
Second.
to adjourn the meeting, second by Betsy. All those in favor?
Aye.
Signify by saying aye. Any opposition? Any abstentions?